you success.
They're telling the ancestors.
Yes.
To recognize what's happening.
And then the words that comes out from the mouth of parents, as you are going into this thing, don't come back here. We don't want to see another man. We don't want to see this kind of thing. All those things are forces that push marriage to last for a very long time, because you remember the words of your father. You remember they have told you you're not going to come back to this house. You remember they told you that this is this. And then you remember in the church they told you for better and for worse. All those words, they carry strength to push marriage to 30 years in existence. Now, marriage or wedding, as we're calling it, is not ordinary as we take it. It's not ordinary. There are a lot of spiritual implications. That's why there is a particular cup that is given in the village for you to drink from it. That cup is not ordinary. People who violate such things even after marriage, after the wedding, they can testify that their life has never remained the same. People who violate those kind of things, they will tell you that things have not gone well for them. They violated and they break covenants. When you break a covenant, there is something that happens to you. That day you did that wedding, it was a covenant you made before the shrines, before the altars of the village, then the altar of God, then the altar of the state. You cannot tell me that a wedding is ordinary. You can't tell me that a wedding is just something that people get up to do. Now, let's not be mistaken with white wedding and the wedding on its own that has to do with the African custom and the African system. Now, a lot of people stay in marriage and survive in marriage because it's waiting. Wait till people go talk. Wait till people go talk if we chakara it in now. Wait till people go talk if I come up for the marriage now I go. Good. Many people are in their marriages today because of the wedding promises and the wedding vows they made, and the village declarations and the altars. Like I said the other time, I went to stand for my cousin who is in Nigeria. He had his traditional marriage that he wanted to do in the village somewhere around Banso, and we went there, and they took us to a particular chambers, and that place there was an altar there, and they gave us wine. They said we have to drink. I told them that, I said, you people know that as a pastor I don't drink wine. Now, I did not only refuse that wine on basis of a pastor, I also refused that wine because I know what that wine carries. It was from a shrine. And shrine carries spirits. And those spirits can haunt you even after marriage and haunt you if you violate covenants. Break covenants in marriage and you see how your life becomes useless. Those who divorce and they look for other women, they will tell you that their life never remained the same. Those who divorce and look for other men, they will tell you that life never remained the same because they did not take those covenants they made during wedding serious. You can't tell me that wedding is just some appreciation or just some kindness. You don't tell me the spiritual implications. You don't tell me the social implications. You don't tell me what wedding offers to the lives of people. I tell you, a lot of people begin to get their best dresses because they were preparing for a wedding. You know, some people wore their best dresses during that period, and after that, they never wore they never wore good dresses. And some of them, they tell you to bring a box of dress for this girl, and it's that dress you wear for about 3 to 4, 5 years in marriage, and that is what sustains a lot of people. so you can tell me that wedding plays a lot, and wedding does not. It does not only end at the level of a ceremony or a celebration. It goes further to push people to many years, because when they think of going back to their family, when they think of violating the altar, the covenants they made on the altar, when they think of going to violate the altar of the state, they prefer to stay there for long.
Okay, they prefer to stay there for long.
Yes.
Madame Fortinglet, now, do we actually spend time chasing shadows and forgetting the real substance? Because he says that those words that are declared during the celebrations play a very vital role. But what if you failed to take time to study the person you're engaging with? Maybe the guy is irresponsible, maybe the lady is irresponsible. Can what actually happen during the wedding ceremony play a positive role on a marriage that was contracted on faulty grounds, if the courtship was not serious?
This courtship was not serious in the first place. Now he talks of the oaths of allegiance from the shrine. You know, all of this, in a nutshell, I would consider it mere procedures. And you're just trying to fulfill the law. You want to fulfill tradition. You want to fulfill what the state says. You want to fulfill what is supposed to be done in church or whatever. The most important thing we want to consider here is the relationship between these two people. There are two persons involving in a relationship here. There are the oaths you take, the wine you drink from the shrine is not what will give you a good character in marriage. The decisions or what they ask you to sign, to drink wine, it doesn't give you a good character when you get into marriage. It doesn't make you understand your spouse, understand the person with whom you're supposed to consummate that marriage.
Those are just ceremonial.
There are just formalities. There are mere formalities. But what is important here is for you to understand first, where am I heading to? What am I daring into? With whom am I supposed to carry this marriage till the end? How do I want this marriage to look like? All of those are formalities, and in our day-to-day living, we all understand that people have mostly concentrated their efforts and resources thinking of making best weddings because I have to go to the ceremony. You understand, you now see that even with the customary marriages or the traditional marriage, they are now designs and more beautiful outfits you need to put on before you go there. And they want to make it more significant. The most important thing here, after these ceremonies, after everything that has been put in place, I have to face the realities. There are realities you need to face. The person with whom you're settling into holy matrimony. Do I know this person? What do I know about this person I'm settling in with? What are his temperaments? Are we good to go together? Do we have the same visions? Because marriage, you don't just get up and you want to marry Mr. X. You don't. You want to marry somebody with whom you have the same visions. You're driving towards the same direction and you want to accomplish goals, dreams together. You have a goal. There is somebody, and that is why the Bible calls you, in the book of Genesis, that's why God said, it was not good for a man to be alone. I am going to create for him a helpmate. There's somebody that is coming to help you to accomplish and to fulfill destiny. Is this person I am engaging with good enough, apt enough, equipped enough to accompany me, achieve these goals? What has this tradition, all these frivolities, as I'll call it, what role has it got to do in my character building? There is a character here. There is somebody whose temperament you do not know. And you must understand that those are the things that are very much important. There is somebody here you have to study, understand, know how to deal with. You have your own self to prepare for that marriage, like to tell yourself, am I ready to settle with this man? Am I ready to settle with this woman? Is it about the fine things we do around? Is it about my friends wearing good clothes and coming to support me? Is it about dressing the bridegrooms, the bridesmaids, getting a good bridal train? It is not for me. It is not about that. There is more to it, which is the consummation of that marriage. When you get into it, that's when you begin to realize that this man had another character that I did not see because I was blinded by the excitement of wedding. He promised that he was going to make me a big wedding. He was going to do a great wedding, a big wedding, and I was so excited. I know that I was going to enter a big car and I'm going to wear a very good gown. I'll wear a good shirt and all of that. But you begin to realize that there is more to that when you engage into that marriage, when you engage into the relationship itself. You now understand that there is a character I did not deal with before I engaged myself into that marriage. I didn't understand that this man had a hot temper. So I didn't prepare myself to know how to counteract, to understand when he's angry and when he's sober, and how I can be able to manage his anger. You have not even studied that. Yet you were, because you were excited. It is never for me the fact that you are supposed to do a wedding. I'd rather prefer we do a small introduction, whatever, and I go into marriage.
I
invest in knowing where I am going to.
Okay. Good evening to you, Anita Ngui Chofo, Anita Eno. Good evening to you too. And to you, Daju Frize, who says, great work, Mom. I'm proud of you. Good evening to you, Ndiwum Emmanuel, and special greetings to your madam who is watching the program. Good evening to you, Nganji Yvonne. My friends, extend greetings to your sister, Auntie Pam. We move over to Bumenda to get the second reaction to this topic of Mrs. Asanji. Yvette.
Mr. Liu, the irony about everything is that people concentrate on the wedding. They pump in money, resources, time, come and see how they're running up and down. Is the tailor doing his work? The deco person, are you doing your work? How is the hall looking like already? Is everything in place? You know, they are trying to make sure that the wedding is successful. But guess what? Nobody does anything to see that the marriage itself is successful. So people put in a lot of efforts. People concentrate a lot. In fact, when you ask a single person, "Are you ready for marriage?" they say, "Yes." Hey, especially single ladies. "Yes, I'm ready." Guess what? In their mind, what they are picturing is a wedding. It's not the marriage. They are picturing how they are putting on the wedding gown. Maybe the veil is as long as you can imagine, and then they are picturing how, you know, they look so classic in their makeup and all those things. So people concentrate a lot on the wedding and they neglect the marriage. They forget to understand that the wedding is just, you know, a platform that sets you ready to go and start living your marital life. So a successful wedding can never determine how a successful marriage will look like. Marriage determines a lot of work. If your marriage has to be successful, the same energy, the same resources, the same time, everything you're putting in for your wedding, you even need to put in more. The time you were putting in to make your wedding work, marriage needs that time. The resources, marriage needs that resources. The attention you are giving to make sure that everything succeeds, your marriage needs that attention. So if you see that, if we try to reduce our focus from the input we put into a wedding and put it into marriage rather, you see that marriages will succeed. But a lot of people, when they pump in those resources, put in their time, their attention and everything for the wedding, when they get married now, they relax. To them, the deed has been done. But they forget that this is now the time when those same efforts you were putting in for that wedding to work, you're supposed to keep putting it in for the marriage.
John, writing from Douala, says, good evening, Mr. Leo. My old mother did not wed, neither did she have a marriage certificate, but died as a widow. One of my family sisters had the most wonderful wedding I have ever attended, and marriage didn't last for 3 years. So you're going to react to that, Apostle AMBE. Let me just take a few messages. Now, this one says, greetings on stage. Interesting topic. A successful wedding does not guarantee a successful marriage. No. Delphine writing there. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Our sister is very right. Both parties need to focus on the same direction. Good communication. Papa Oyoyo is writing from Douala. Hi, Ismola Waka from Yaoundé. I think our pastor is forgetting that before Westerners came with their religion, Africans had their own culture and ways of life. No matter what they drink or take, it will not affect their married life. Let the pastor not forget that we are Africans, so successful wedding cannot guarantee a successful marriage. Hello, my media prime. Good evening. Please ask the apostles of if white wedding is compulsory. Joseph Tambe writing from Limbe. They are going to answer. Please take note of some of these questions men of God in the house. This one says, bonsoir à vous sur le plateau. Pour qu'un mariage réussi, il faudra que la femme applique les principes bibliques de Colossiens 3.18 et l'homme doit appliquer le principe de Colossiens 3.19 et le couple doit apprendre à se pardonner mutuellement parce que c'est ces deux personnes imparfaites qui vivent ensemble. Ok, ces deux personnes imparfaites qui vivent ensemble. Fallon, depuis Yaoundé. Bonsoir à toi, Fallon. Good evening. Mr. Liu, I believe the wedding is a celebration and marriage is the relationship between the two of you. Thanks for this program. It's educative. Fanny is writing from Ndu. Good evening to you, Fanny. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Cynthia from Limbe. My husband sees nothing good in me. No matter how hard I try to make him happy, all he does is to look for the one bad thing in me and criticize. When we have a misunderstanding, he can stay for 2 weeks before he can listen to me, and I'm the only one that usually beg him. Each time we have a misunderstanding, please ask the panel to help me. What should I do? I don't know whether a man of God can help you, but can you just call us after the program? You request the number of the 4 persons here. They will answer you. It could be Madame Asanji, Madame Fortinglet. It could be Apostle Isinge or Apostle Ambe. Just call me. I'll give you their numbers. They will answer you. Good evening, Mr. Liu, Apostle, and my fellow women. Thank you guys for this wonderful topic of today. I'm glued to my screen. Miss Fossa Tekla, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. KUM and the panelists in the studio. I think the boast your integrity doesn't mean you must wed in church or in court. Why, if you boast your integrity in wedding and fail in your assignments as a marriage couple? I think wedding to me is just to show how wealthy you are, not how responsible you are. Many of our parents today did not wed in church or in court, but live a responsible married life. Emmanuel is writing from Limbe. Yes, Apostle and B. There's some 2 questions raised.
Somebody asked if white wedding is compulsory. It is not compulsory.
Okay.
It is not compulsory. Not today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. White wedding, as a matter of fact, is a British culture introduced in Africa. It's not a biblical culture. The fact that it was the white people who introduced the gospel in Africa doesn't make the gospel a white man gospel. We should be able to differentiate between the Jewish culture, the British culture, and the Word of God. White wedding as it is was because Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria, one of the queens, wore a white gown. It's called white wedding, and it was introduced in Britain in the 18th century. And so it was copied there and brought there by missionaries. So we are practicing another traditional wedding in Africa. We have swallowed our cultural values. Our traditional wedding in Africa is what is called traditional wedding in Britain. So if you do a traditional wedding in your village, you have married from the African context. If you go and do white wedding again, you have done another traditional wedding, which is another culture. You can as well still choose for a woman to pay money on your head, which is an Indian culture. So the differences in the wedding does not make anyone more important. If you do what we recognize in Africa is the traditional wedding, which is done in the village or done in the family of the girls, the family's comp of the girl, and then they do the courts. What we do in church is exchange of vows. It must not be a white wedding. You can come on a Sunday morning, a pastor chooses to bless you. Or on the traditional wedding, you call the pastor. Once you are done with the traditional rites, he stands there and blesses the two of you. It's not a compulsory subject. White wedding is a borrowed culture introduced in Africa. It's not biblical.
Okay. Yes.
And then secondly, for the lady who said that she does everything. You see, Jesus said in the book of Matthew chapter 19, say, Moses said, because of the hardness of your heart, that was why you were given the opportunity to give a letter of divorce. The thing that gives birth to divorce is not demonic presence, it's hard-heartedness. When two couples have hard hearts, it is difficult for them to last together.
Yeah, but the lady says she's the one who asked for
forgiveness. I'm coming. Yes, the lady, she's the one that keeps asking for forgiveness. Listen, and take this from my mouth. There is something in that marriage bigger than your emotion. If there are children involved and there is a future, I can tell you to trade your emotion for the future of the children. Sometimes our emotion may be right, but it may not be taking us to the right direction. There are many mothers who have stayed in relationships, not because they actually enjoyed it, but because they saw something bigger than they are suffering. There are persons who have sacrificed in relationship, not because it was a merry-go-round stuff. No. Sometimes they had to put something which is a higher priority. Do you think Jesus did not love his life? Jesus loved his life, but there was something bigger than his life. He had to lay down that life. It is time for us to understand there are things in marriage which are bigger than our feelings and our emotion. How you feel and how the emotion you have cannot be compared to what holds your children in the future. So sister, if you have children in that marriage and you are the one begging, you lose nothing for begging. You lose nothing, you don't lose anything. As a matter of fact, a man that receives forgiveness is smaller than the one that demands forgiveness. There's a misconception we don't know. He that is receiving forgiveness is a lesser person to the person who is demanding forgiveness. He that demands forgiveness is more matured than him that receives forgiveness. So that man in your house, I'm sorry to say this, men are children with long trousers.
Okay.
Men with beards on their chin are children with long trousers. So you are having a child, even though he's putting on long trousers in the house.
Is it allowed to wear a white gown when you are not a virgin? Lavin is writing from Limbe. Is it okay? Apostle Singer is going to answer you. You guys are changing the topic for today. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I've been in courtship for 5 years, yet I doubt if I should get married to the father of my daughter, fiancé. He never takes out time to say, baby, you look good today. You are special. I enjoyed your meal, or any way appreciates me. Even when I beg for it, he ignores me, and it pains me. Mildred is writing from Fumban. Madame Fortinglet will take this one, but Apostle, can you this issue of white wedding? Should we not wear a gown or whatever? Must we put on white during the white wedding? Yes, that's.
Well, according to the context of the white wedding, they believe that you shouldn't put on a white gown when you have been sleeping with your partner, or maybe when you have had children. But on the other side, you can put on the white garment, but you cannot cover your face with a veil.
But
that's what some people say. You can put on the white wedding, but the white garments, but you cannot cover your face with that veil, because it is that veil that shows that you're a virgin, and they have to disvirgin you by opening that veil. That's exactly what it looks like. But we are trying to see that more and more we want people to see marriage or wedding and have a very good value for it, rather than just seeing it as a celebration or something they have to eat or spend money. Weddings have stronger implications than mere wearing of a white garment.
Because they take vows before men, before God.
You take vows. You take strong vows. You talk before people. You go to the villages and you talk in shrines. Some of you even make blood pacts and blood covenants in the process of this. And I also want to tell a lot of people that the preparation of a wedding many times doesn't only have to do with preparing of food and dresses. There is also counseling processes that people take during this period. In the churches, especially in some churches that are serious, They organize some counseling sessions where they counsel you and they talk to you about they tell you about your future. So it's leading you why you are wedding. They are telling you why you are wedding. You are wedding because you want a successful life ahead of you. To say that I am tying this knot with my bride, I'm tying this knot with my groom, so that we can make a successful marriage ahead of us. Like in the Catholic Church, there is these processes where counseling is really done, and so many others. But I think in Pentecostal churches we have a very limited counseling style, life for that. So it makes a lot of people fail in marriages and other things. That process was not purely carried. This preparation for marriage, which includes the wedding, as a package. It's a package. I call it a package. We can't take it out of it. We cannot separate that period, because a lot of people advise you. Some people take the microphone and talk to you. Some people even compose songs to edify you and to tell you where you are entering to. And you now have to be conscious of what is in front of you. And that is what gives a lot of people that tenacity. Because you cannot just get up and say that, go away. After you have done that kind of wedding, you cannot just get up and tell your partner, now go away, or I don't want you again, or this kind of thing. You cannot. Unlike the come we stay, or the ones that you just pick somebody and you are with. You can just get up tomorrow and just tell the person go. But not after a wedding, when some rites have been carried out. It is very, very difficult to do that kind of a thing.
Okay.
Even though some people go to the extent of doing it, but at the end of the day, there are consequences for it.
Okay. Success writing from Kribi says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Wedding is just pride, because my friend had a wonderful wedding, but the wedding didn't last for 8 months. So for me, wedding is just for formality. Good evening to you, Success, always watching from Kribi. Good evening, Mr. KUM and the panelists. I wish to appreciate the great work you are doing to this nation through your program. Marriage is the lifetime of love and commitment to one person whom you can share life. Using myself as an example, both have to surrender. Vali is watching from Limbe. The worst thing is borrowing money to make a wedding party. Okay, yeah, that's also something. Good evening, dear panelists. I wish to ask Pastor that he refused drink from the cup in the shrine. Did he not know that he was going to a shrine? Why will he refuse from drinking in the shrine and claims that the shrine of tradition plays an important role in marriage? Imagine he is the one. Will he not go there? Will he not drink from the shrine's cup? What if he refused? He will not affect too. Mr. Abiachi Samuel writing from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Mr. Nji from Yaoundé. What Apostle is saying is very true. A successful wedding is never a guarantee for a successful marriage. Mr. Leo, I have an experience of a friend who left the US and did a successful wedding of almost 5 million. It was wonderful, but you will not believe it's just a year plus and the two are already thinking of separating, with an excuse that the character changed in both partners after the wedding. Mr. Leo, my take on this issue is the fact that we shouldn't concentrate more on making a successful wedding. Rather, we should focus on what we can do to make a successful marriage. Courtship is the best school for you to know if you will have a successful marriage or not. Mr. Leo, run, or else you will be signing your own sentence. Yes, thank you for that contribution. Derek, watching us from Song Derek, watching us from Bonaventure says, good evening, great minds. Wedding is a day and marriage is a life. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. A successful wedding is not and cannot be a guarantee for a successful marriage. Marriage has a lot to put in for life since a long-term investment, while wedding is short-term investment. Emma Mojoko, writing from where? Is it the Emma Mojoko that I know? If you are the one, good evening to you. Greetings, Mr. Leo and Bertrand from Pomenda. Please, my question goes to Apostle AMBE. Why is it that most pastors won't bless marriages that haven't passed through the court? Is it that the court is more than God? Okay, but Madam Fortinglet, I wanted you to, I read a message here where somebody said, okay, yes.
This lady is trying to find out. She says she's been with a man for 5 years.
The man has never appreciated.
And she has a child for this man. And this man does not appreciate anything she does. And she's asking if she should go ahead for the marriage. Sister, I will advise you, you are going in for your own death warrant. Now, the mistake many people make before getting married is that maybe ladies, most often than not, because of sometimes they talk of desperation, you just want to settle in a man's house, is because you think that when you get married you have to change a man. If you cannot tame a man during your courtship, forget it. Anything a man cannot give you when you are courting, he will never give you when you're married to that man. And I think that during courtship, it's the highest period a man throws love at a woman, because it's like somebody trying to win you over. It's trying to, you're throwing corn like you want to catch a hen. You throw corn and then it gets attracted to what you're holding in your hand. And that's the highest period he is supposed to show you love. This is the highest time he is supposed to throw gifts at you and appreciate you as the woman he wants to keep in his life. If at this point in time that you've gone as far as having a child for him, and you both probably living together, if I understood you very well, he doesn't appreciate you for anything you cook, he doesn't tell you he's happy or he eats and he's comfortable, he doesn't want you. If you get married to him, you're signing your death warrant. If you cannot succeed to tame him now, never you carry it in marriage and say, no, I will support it. If you can't support it now, you are going into a lifetime prison. And take this man will never appreciate you when you finally get married to him. Except otherwise, there could be, I don't know, but what I'm telling you is this. If this man, if you have not been able, you have tried all what it takes as a woman, because women, we have our soft side, we have that softness, we have, if you have done everything you ought to do, because you yourself as a woman, you have to learn what it takes to keep a man by you. Maybe you're failing somewhere. You have to understand what it takes. Am I that submissive woman? Have I played my role well? Do I meet up to his needs? Am I attractive to him? Do I keep myself the way he would like? Do I actually know how he wants me to look like? If you have asked yourself all these questions and you think that you are doing everything it takes to keep him, like you are playing your role well as a woman in the life of this man, and everything you do seems nonsense to him, my sister, don't dare it. You get into that marriage, it is going to be worst. And those are already signs of infidelity, because you will never stay at home. A man who doesn't love you, who doesn't cherish you, who doesn't want you, will obviously want another woman outside, because another woman must feed into his needs. He must go somewhere that he feels more comfortable than home. So it is not advisable. If you haven't done what it takes as a woman to keep him, please do it. Learn what it takes. And if you can't, then you better just quit before it is late. Thank you.
But the two parties, should they not take marriage as their own issue? That is, fix their issues. Because if you have to come and on the Z-Day, people give you advice on what to do when you have not fixed yourselves, can you survive? Take the case of what happened in Yaoundé last week, where both husband and wife appeared before the second deputy mayor for, I'm sure it's for Yaoundé flight, and the mayor says, is it monogamy or polygamy? The man says polygamy, the lady says monogamy, and
he brought the other woman that was right there.
No, that was fake news. He never that was fake. Actually, the marriage was suspended, and the girl went back to their family, and the man is also with the family. It's marriage not between two persons, because the many persons may just come and cloud the scene, and months, like many persons are saying today. What happened in the past? What happened in the past that our mothers, fathers were able to lead successful marriage lives, that we today would hire home chiefs, do all of this, bring 6 reverend fathers to celebrate our weddings, bring 4 apostles.
Can I speak?
Yes, go on.
Izalio, you know, marriage in the former times was an orientation.
Mm-hmm.
Women were born in community knowing that polygamy was legal.
Yeah.
Information today has thwarted that culture. The nominal or ordinary woman this day will know that a man belongs to her alone. You discover that teachings have changed. That is the reason why when a man had a wife in those days, bringing a second was not a challenge, because it was an orientation in the society. Now teachings have come up that tells a woman that you are the one that owns that man alone. So the former women are not compared to the women of our days, because they are operating on 2 different orientations. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. So polygamy was not a problem. You stay with a woman, give birth to 1, 2, 3 children. You tell her you are bringing a second wife. It's not a challenge, because why? She grew in that community knowing that. We have come to preach that it is one man, one woman. So the 21st century woman is not the 17th century woman. 2 different orientation. They may have the same physical structure, but they have 2 different orientation. And marriages are influences they based on our orientation. Number 2, what men call love is not what women call love. And until we define these 2 subjects, we are going to be dancing and nothing will be happening. What a man sees as love is not what a woman sees as love. Look at that woman's complaint. The man doesn't appreciate what I cook, doesn't appreciate if I dress well, or I do a hairstyle. That's how she sees love. Me, if I dress well, I don't dress well, you appreciate, you don't appreciate, it means nothing to me. My love is when I say, sit down there.
And you sit.
And you say, yes, sir. Once you do that, you have turned me into your boy.
Yes.
You have tamed every beast in me. That's how I see love. And if you ask most men on earth, when they are vibrating, a woman that says, leave her now. Leave her now. Inside his mouth, words are coming out. In his heart, he's saying, which is that fine now? Now the woman, you are fine now. But when a man starts vibrating, and you stand and say, who are you? My friend, he believes you don't love him. That is the reason you respond to him in that way. But not the woman. A woman will do a hairstyle. If you don't see it and say something, she doesn't see it as love. What that girl is complaining there as love is not love to me. But that is what women need as love. That's why scripture says men love. What a man receives as love is women submit. God never asked the woman to love a man. Love goes with expressions. Love goes with gifts. Love goes with cuddles. Love goes with sex.
You are the love doctor today.
Right
on, man.
When you cuddle a woman, you give her name, you give her pet name, you appreciate everything, she sees it as love. You call me sweetheart, it doesn't tickle anything in me. What am I doing with sweetheart? You buy me a gift, wow, wonderful. Last time my wife bought me a shoe, I said, praise the Lord. That's good. It flew up my mind. But when I say, madam, when I'm talking, you don't make noise here. And she said, yes, sir. You don't charm me, I charm. You don't need to put anything in my food again. Because the nature of man is authoritative. And he wants to be listened.
Yeah.
He wants to be listened to. Men, love your wife. Love is romance. Love is cuddle. Love is expression. Love is celebration. Love is saying good things. Lie them. I told the girl that I don't want to lie you. So that's when I used to grow up. I told the girl, I do not want to lie you. The girl said, just lie me. If you lie a woman by telling her what suits her, she will believe in you than a man who is serious and tell her what is correct.
That's what they do.
So what you can say, oh, mommy, if I did not marry you, what would I have gotten you? You are just like the morning sun. She eats, that's what she feeds.
Even when she doesn't look like that.
Even when she doesn't look like, just tell her that. So men, you should know what women see as love. Women also know what men see as love. Cook your best food, though. Call him the best pet name, oh. Buy him gift, he will not mean anything to you. But when a man buys a woman gift, take her out, post her on social media, write a whole story about her. She sees no man else. But a man sees love when he says, we are going to buy this thing today. And the woman say, okay, what you have said, I do not argue. After they say, honey, don't you realize that what you said we should buy? It's not bad though. And just try to propose. I told a lady that you can command through proposition. You can influence a man with proposals. Men become violent. Men become outrageous when you want to impose on them. You may have a good idea, but leave it as a proposal, not an imposition.
Okay, leave it as a
That's why our mothers succeeded.
You have something to add?
Yes, I just wanted to contribute a little to what Apostle is saying about the desires of a woman and the desire of a man, you know, and the responsibility of a woman. They only command one of those that God said a woman should be submissive to your husband. Unfortunately, many women look at submission as a bondage, as something too difficult to do, as being at the weaker side, as being not the one that is as a disadvantage. But I would want to tell women this evening that submission is the greatest tool, and it puts you at the top. Submission is not weakness. It is not that you're weak. It is a strength that has been put in the hands of women, because you can virtually control everything in the place of submission. You don't make noise.
Okay.
You know.
No.
Okay, what I'm trying to say, that woman that understands what submission is all about, you control the man. The man can dance to your tune at any time.
Okay. Like Apostle AMBE just demonstrated.
Like he's just demonstrated, you know.
Okay. Good evening, sir. I enjoy your program. Some people always say no wedding, no marriage. But to me, it looked funny because after doing that wedding, they will come back home unable to even feed. That is just wastage of variety and resources. By Stella, writing from Douala. Good evening, sir. Ma, please, what if you know that the man don't have money and the woman is doing better than the man, and they get married? Sometimes he will give money for food, but not all the time. But the woman is doing everything in the house. Is the man really a good man? He will always cry that he don't have money. Okay. Hi, good evening to you all. I'm called Ivo from Gabon. How can I know a good housewife? After traditional wedding as a Christian, must you make a church wedding? Big Fredo is writing from Gabon. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Justice Longang from Idea. Interesting program. I can't afford missing this program. Right on. Thank you very much. Apostle AMBE is a love star tonight. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I like the panelists this evening. Apostle AMBE is please higher the volume when saying men are children in long trousers. Add that woman are mothers from birth. Okay. Lizzie is writing from Diboncha. Good evening, people of God. Please, I have a question. In a relationship, but we have misunderstanding in the relationship, and my fiance have to call everyone, and I don't like to share my problem with people. What should I do? Because I don't like when there is a problem, people should know, and in the problem, I have asked for forgiveness, but he keeps on talking. Okay, God will give you grace to overcome it in the name of Jesus. Hi, Mr. Liu. I'm John from Bonaberry. Courtship is the foundation to marriage. The problem is a lot of couples do not know their partners. Good evening, Mr. Liu. A beautiful topic there. A wedding is a collective name used for all the ceremonies and rituals that take place to give social acceptance to the relationship between two people, whereas marriage is the name of lifelong institution which starts after the wedding. I wonder what Apostle ALFRED is talking about. Gilbert is writing from Yaoundé. How successful a wedding is has no guarantee. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. A successful wedding will not guarantee a successful marriage. Don't get me wrong. A great relationship is still necessary for a good marriage. You don't go marry someone just because you feel like your time has come. You marry someone because you connect really well. You have tons of fun together, and you cannot imagine your life without this special person. Aiden Vioff, watching from Halifax in Canada. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo. I think a successful marriage doesn't mean how that day passes, but all the actions that took place for that day to be successful. These actors are the vows you took in the village, in front of the government and in front of God. The wedding ceremony is just to celebrate that day, not necessarily the wedding, because the wedding has already taken place in the village, in court and in church. So to me, a successful marriage guarantees a successful marriage. Oops. Mr. Leonard, writing from Bonaberry, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at our second topic for tonight. You're watching Prime Hour on My Media Prime, and this time around we are going to be looking at how to rekindle a love that is gone dead, that is gone comatose in a relationship or a marriage. How do you bring that fire that brought you people together? I'll start with you, Apostle ALFRED is singing. What actually sends the force, the burning force that actually existed between the two of you at we were talking about marriage now. Okay, 2 years, 3 years down the lane, you people appear uninterested in each other. What happens?
So some women are really not happy because they did not have a good wedding. They didn't have a good wedding. So yes, because they said in the wedding there was no cake. You do a nice cake. So the way you treat it during my courtship when we're preparing for wedding. Talking about situations that we have even had deliverance in church, where Prophet TB Joshua was setting somebody free because the woman said she wanted a homage that they should use homage that day to a church, and the man refused. So that woman was angry for 15 years. 15 years until a prophet had to come to decipher what was the problem in the marriage. So many things weaken the spirit of a woman, especially the woman. I'm talking about woman. Because the men, sometimes they don't have feelings. Men only, they can have feelings when they want to have sex. Yeah. Yes, they have feelings when they want to get bed. But they don't really have feelings the kind of way that women have. Yes. So the women's feelings can be crushed if their pre-marriage or their wedding not properly held. I will see this to all these young boys who want to just take this lesson that Apostle AMBE is teaching them now, that marriage, you prepare it well ahead of time. Don't tell me you don't have money to do wedding so that you take money to do marriage. Marriage is prepare it well ahead of time. From the day you gave a boy, who said so? You knew that no, you knew that you were going to marry someday. So to tell us that the marriage took you by surprise is a lie. Wedding did not by surprise. You already knew that someday you would do wedding. And people like you are defending that wedding is not a good, it does not a guarantee that you marry. You are escaping now. If you don't marry that woman properly, she will not forgive you. Marry properly. Make her happy. Because this our sister that if she does not have a good proper man, you will not be happy. Yes, you will not be happy.
Rambo is a married.
I mean wedding. It's wedding.
Yeah, but yes, you are talking about wedding. I'm talking. There are many.
This is a sentimental After something, what makes somebody to love to
So
die?
just because they did not work, the love dies?
Jesus Christ. Many of our counseling sessions, they will tell you.
What happened to our mothers?
You are talking about that.
There was no love.
Mothers were not married because of love or anything. They would have known that one day you will marry
Apostle,
because of
do you know that many people living happily have not had the type of wedding you're describing?
Very right.
And they are living hard but insecure. Yes, anytime they go, not anytime something can happen. This man can drive me out of house.
But when we get the enough text messages that people are sending, they say a majority are saying they witness wonderful weddings like you described, but 8 months after.
What is on the rise? What is
In every-
separation that's on the rise? It is divorce. This has certificates.
Yes, it's certificates.
What is on the rise is
Let me
divorce.
ask, how many people have told you that they are separated?
What?
How many people have told you they are separated in a relationship? Not tell you that one, but it is divorce that is alarming because of what? Because they have two faces. Separations don't have process. That's
Now-
why we will not know it.
Now, with all the difficulty
I
in
don't
divorcing, people
Yes.
still go through the process. Marriage that they go not.
We are not discussing this topic. No,
We are- we are-
yes.
No,
We
I
are
was
no
pointing
longer
something
in
to you. Like, I was saying that.
Just love dying.
Yes, some of the do not me well. Women, some of these traditional women that are coming from traditional places, they have their own value at these days. And then let me tell you something. I will come to bring you in now. Because now you have incited a lot of young boys to know to proper marriage or proper wedding. It's now going to appreciate them in front of their friends.
Okay.
Talk nicely about them. Talk nicely. Like sometimes you can write about your wife on Facebook. You can write about the one you are in love on Facebook and talk nice things about the person. Sometimes the grudges they have about you, they won't forgive you. So that means this man has already everything fine for me.
Okay.
They don't write today, don't go write them.
Okay, watching you guys live from Switzerland, and really happy with the topic today. Love is a celebration of emotions demonstrated physically. Now about white wedding. White wedding is traditional, or better still, a cultural wedding in other continents. Why would you borrow money to fit into another man's culture? Do Bamenda people also do the BT people's traditional wedding after paying their bride price? Go to court for civil legalization. Nothing more. Church wedding doesn't give you any documents that can defend your wedding and has no value to your union. That is why the white wedding is never an obligation, but the traditional and court weddings are obligatory. I still encourage people to go marry and enjoy the union. Okay, the Godfather is writing there from Switzerland. Now, no, let me go over to Bamenda to get the first reaction of Mrs. Asanji Yvette on this topic.
Good evening once more, Mr. Leo. What should couples do to rekindle and to reconnect? Just like I said in the previous contribution, marriage has work. Marriage is work. For your marriage to work, you need to put in a lot. So when marriages are neglected, in fact, any marriage that is neglected is a marriage that is doomed to fail. I always use this analogy to explain what marriage is. It's like you create a bank account. Does creating a bank account make you rich? Obviously, no. What makes you rich is little deposits. You keep saving some money, keep saving some money and saving some money and saving some money in that account. That's what makes you rich. It's not creating an account that makes you rich. That's same for marriage. If you get married and you leave it, oh, I'm married, let the marriage work on its own. It's not going to work. So marriage requires work. You need to work on your marriage. So once couples neglect their marriage gets to do what? Obviously, it has to fail. A neglected marriage is a marriage that is doomed to fail. So everything you do in your marriage will determine if you are actually helping it to work or not. Now we'll talk about rekindling, and connecting emotionally. A lot of things go wrong that makes couples disconnect from each other. A lot starts with unfaithfulness, once one party starts cheating, you know, it kills the love, the emotions, the feelings this other person is having. So no matter what you do at that moment, that other person cannot feel you, cannot connect to you emotionally like they used to do. Lack of attention, lack of time, lack of submission, lack of respect, all those other things come in to disconnect, to kill marriage or to kill the emotions and to make couples disconnect from each other. But if any marriage has to work, you know, they have to go back to the same things that killed the marriage.
They have to go back to the same thing. Madam Fortinglet, you are a woman, you're married, and you certainly are a relationship expert. You've had to talk to many persons. What are they saying actually contributed in killing that love, that excitement that accompanied their coming together? What are some of the things that the man would do or the woman?
Thank you, Mr. Luyo. And this topic is very sensitive, and I like it just too much. You know, emotional separation in marriage is one of the most dangerous thing that can happen to a couple, when you're emotionally separated to each other. The topic says, what are the things we can do to rekindle these emotions? The question is, how did we get there? Before looking for the solution, what caused it? What's the problem? How did we get there? And I would like us to make us understand that it didn't happen in a day. Before a wall is built between a man and a woman, or a husband and a wife, it is a gradual process. And every day you're pouring in more fire, and it's increasing gradually. You know, it's one brick after another brick, one brick after another brick, and you don't take time to watch. Before you know it, there is a serious wall that has been constructed between you two. The question is how, like I was saying, how did we get there? How did you get to a point where you're emotionally disconnected to the man you loved so much, the man, your dream husband, the man you really wanted to get married to, the one you wanted to spend all your life with? And suddenly you get up one morning and discover, I don't love this man anymore. I don't even want him to touch me. Everything he says is nasty to you. Everything he proposes, it's a problem. Like, how did we get there? You know, some of the things that can cause a couple to actually get to that point where they get emotionally disconnected to one another. One of these can be lack of quality time together. When you get married as a couple, it's very important that you have quality time with your spouse. Unfortunately, many people will prefer their friends. They want to spend more time with your friends, and sometimes even female friends, more than their wives. So men will spend more time in beer parlors, rather than spending time with your... We have not refused that you do not go to those places, but you spend more time with people who do not matter than your wife or your husband, with whom you're supposed to build up that intimacy, because the intimacy is built gradually. Secondly, when unforgiveness starts nursing up in you too, you can't forgive your spouse for a little thing that is done. You carry it, and it's like it's a whole trouble. It starts pulling you people gradually away from each other. This thing is one thing they call communication in marriage. If you do not build your relationship on the platform of communication, like you can freely talk to your spouse, you can freely communicate, you can freely talk about what? Talk about sex, talk about your emotions, talk about so many things in marriage. You discuss those, you talk and come to an agreement. But if you cannot discuss, it starts bringing that separation, that gradual emotional gap between you two. And before you know it, it becomes a serious problem. Sometimes lack of sex intimacy between couples, you just do it for the doing sake. That intimacy is not there. You don't communicate it with your minds like you are one person. you're not two. It begins to create that gap, that emotional gap between you two. You're comparing your spouse with another. No, this man is better. Can't you see that Mr. X is doing me like this? Why are you doing me like that? You start expecting. Sometimes you expect too much.
He took the wife to Santa Lucia.
Good. He took the wife to Santa Lucia. He bought a new shoe for his wife. He didn't buy it for me. He just bought a car. What are you doing? You bought a plot. You know, you start comparing your spouse.
So your mind now starts tilting from your husband to
another person's husband. Two people can never be the same.
Okay.
There is just no way. Two people can never be the same. The strength your husband or your wife has is not found in another man or in another woman.
Okay. To rekindle marital, emotional, or continuous connection is simply increased chop money and proper sex. Unkunji, writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Unkunji. They call you Paddy Brown, a tailor based in Bamenda, Foncha Street Junction, and you make the best suits in Bamenda. So if you are in Bamenda, you want to wear the best suits, contact me and I'll connect you to Paddy Brown, who is operating around Foncha Street Junction in Bamenda. I'm glad to know that you are always watching the program. Aponsu AMBE Valentine Gua. Yes, we are talking about reconnecting. Is it about getting into our visual minds how our husband and wife looked when we fell in love, and yearning to have them still have that smell, that look, that touch? Is that what we are talking about here?
People have to understand that when you get married, as this changes, it's obvious that physical structures, appearances will not be the same again. Men will stay 10 years with a woman, 10 years with a woman, and want to still have the woman like they met them 10 years ago. It is impossible. It's the absence of this adaptability in the recent changes that kills the affection of most men. They start looking the woman they married 10 years ago in another woman that is at that stage of the woman they married 10 years ago. And it's funny enough that no product remains the same forever. You got married to a slim girl, flat tummy, pointed breast, and then suddenly she gives birth to 1, 2, 3 children, and then stomach start protruding, oversized buttocks, and then stretch marks comes out, and then you want to go back to the body again. The body is not the way you met it. Who spoiled it? You, Mr. Man. You have to adapt to this new situation and configure your mind to accept what it is. But I see there is one thing that we most at times don't discuss on this platform, which I have to be sincere, based on counseling I've realized. There are spiritual forces on earth that breaks relationships and tear emotions apart. I have seen men that will tell me that if they meet their wife, their penis does not erect. When they meet women outside, it's like it will almost tear their trousers. On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 occasions, and then I came to realize that there are also invisible forces that tilts the emotions of people towards another direction. And this is one thing that sometimes we use psychology, social understanding, anthropology, and all kinds of philosophy to try to settle marital matters, and we don't lay emphasis on spiritual aspects. There are so many people. A man came to me and said, "Pastor, you won't imagine that when I go to the room, my wife, I see her, my penis does not erect." Then I asked him, "How do you feel? Are you impotent?" He said, "Once I go outside, I have finally surrendered and going me outside." And we don't want to talk about this one. And I know many people are watching me right now. They are going through this kind of challenge. My brother, you need deliverance. This emotional disconnect in marriage sometimes is spiritual. Forces that are invisible come in between two persons and make them see each other like strangers in their lives. And if we did not go about counseling people, we wouldn't have known such challenges. It's because people have testified this not once, twice, thrice, even 5 times to me. Then also I've come to appreciate that it's a reality. Because they say 1 is an accident, 2 is a coincidence, and 3 is a program. From 4, 5, 6 a reality. So this is one thing that we have to handle. So this spiritual aspect is very serious. Out of that, let's go to physical reasons why people disconnect and then how to reconnect. Physical reasons. Number one, when a man's emotional needs are not met, not physical needs, not physical needs. When a man's emotional needs are not met and a woman's emotional needs are not met, those are serious things. A woman can come from a background whereby she enjoys sex and romance and gets married to somebody who is not familiar with that. I canceled the girl. She said to me, my husband is that type who just tell you lie down. He climbs on you and he does what he wants to do and then he jumps down. Meanwhile, my ex used to cuddle me, fun, and then some kind of stuff, romance me before I would get to some clouds of ecstasy, and then now he penetrates. Now, the girl said a statement that caught my attention. Say, it makes me remember my ex. You discover that because of lack of intimacy in the area of sex, forgotten emotions, feelings, connections begin to rise back in a woman because that emotional vacuum is still there. The man has not filled that vacuum. The same with men. A man can leave a girl that knows how to touch all the G points on his body and take him to clouds of crazy ecstasy. Then miss one missionary sister. Your husband is not an evangelist. I said it in church today. I said, sister, if you're a missionary, your husband may not be an evangelist. If you are just that one size is...
Okay, Apostle AMBE.
Let me learn now.
Okay, learn.
If you are just that one size is, please, I assign you, go and study sex. Take this thing very short from my mouth.
Okay.
Go and study how to sex.
Yes, Apostle. Apostle ALFRED is seeing here. He just raised an issue that when we get into marriage 10 years down the road, forms and sizes, shapes, everything changes. But even with that, is there no way to catch up so that we can still look appetizing, attractive, and still pleasant to our husbands? Because though you raise the point that the husband may want to go out there to meet another girl who is in the likeness of the wife at the time they got married, but you see many men or many women who go out there not for the younger slim, but for very mature older persons.
Yes, you see, some of the things I want to say, you people may not want me to say them here, but I will just avoid saying some of them because especially church people, they ignore a lot of things. When a man comes and then sees your hair, you don't keep it well. Even your breasts wear, you can wear one breast wear for 1 week, 2 weeks. Don't wash them, and then those things, they repel people. Men want something that makes them feel good. That's why in Proverbs chapter 7, there is this woman that went and fixed her room. She decorated the room and make the bed sheet very wonderful. And she sprayed perfume there and make it to be so beautiful. Let me tell you something. A woman can control her size and her shape. All this stress mark, there are a lot of things that can help you. Even your size, it can help you. But the truth about it is that it is not all those things that even really pull a man and put it close. Men always want fire. When they touch you, you react. Men want reaction. When they touch you, you react. Then to their own distance, to the wake up, it is shake place. But when they touch you, you do like a stick. You the kill mosquito for wall. You just be very. It is really repelling. You feel bad, especially when women are in their stage of hormonal changes, where not they find them.
Yeah, but you're accusing the women. Yeah, there are some men that are also repelling the wives to want to venture out there.
That is vice versa. We're talking about, there are also men, but we're talking about especially women. Women are like thermostats in a home. Women can control the climatic conditions in a home. A woman can decide to make the home sweet and can also make it very bitter. Even when the home is not good, a woman can know how to trigger emotions in this place. Now, why would a woman begin to dress funny Because this attraction, men like what they see. Men are moved by what they see. Look at this thing. You wear pants, your pants for 1 year. You don't buy new pants, that's white fine pants with fine flour, that when you dry it, so the man they look and they think they shaky. This emotion that want to come, you want to do better style, you do better hairstyle and fix yourself. When you come, the man will not have any point to distract. Now, one of the things that is very strong in this thing, if you can learn how to forgive, emotions become very powerful. Many times people end up their forgiveness with sex. When they say, okay, I forgive you, baby, no worry, we'll fix it here, don't worry. As they are trying to fix this thing, that problem, something now go up, because it triggers emotion. Because when a woman is crying, she's emotional. When a man also wants to pet the woman that is crying, he becomes very emotional. And that's why even in counseling session, they advise counselors, especially opposite sex, don't allow that emotion of the other person to capture you. Because the person can cry, you want to go and hold to tap, they also hold you. And then the whole thing is spark, fire catch, and so many other things. And before you see, you start apologizing. No, I did not want it to be like this, so it's like that, oh, it's like that. So I am calling these people, women especially, during their periods of pregnancy. If you know that you have done so many things to hurt your husband, when you come out of that emotion, that hormonal changes, please begin to fix those things back. Cook better chop, make some better things to happen. When you go for some of your menstrual kind of thing, when you finish those things, clean well, so that when they want to come closer, they don't hear some kind of smell that will push them away. Those kind of things, they really cost a lot of things. You keep your pad anyhow, you keep your dirty dresses anyhow, you just keep the whole place very scattered. It sends a man away from the home. And at the end of the day, what happens? The man will not want to come. He will go to a prostitute's home that they are fixing very well and make the bed and make it so sweet and make it so very wonderful. You can always rekindle that fire by putting the right things in the right place, a square peg in a square hole, by trying to recognize, what does my husband like much? How did I used to do it to trap him? And let me tell you something, the fact that you did it before and it worked does not mean that you will do it again and it work. You cannot decide to change strategies and change styles. I did it like this, it did not react to this today. What will happen? Let me try this other one. People are in different temperamental times. They change their moods, mood swings and all the like. Some things you used to do and they will laugh, and you come again, you want to do it. I don't want that kind of thing for here, and they begin to disturb you. So we call on these women, we call on these men, study the mood of you. That's why you see, you can never know somebody. We know people every day. I tell people, don't think that what you knew about your wife yesterday is still the same thing you will know today. For example, when my wife was promoted at her job site, she changed in certain behaviors. When she came back home, she changed, because she's watching me right now as I'm talking like this. She changed or something. I said, hey, your position, they transfer you for that, they lift you for office. Not for us here. They transfer you for office. Me, I never still push you. You still being a wife. So remain the wife. Some of you, when you are promoted, you take that control, you control in your office. When they have, not only promotion, and you want to bring it home. And when you bring it home, you make the man to say, so then our boss, you want to turn now for this place. Some people don't know how to dialogue. So they will not, instead of them to tell you that this or explain, just like myself, if you know you work, I just talk me one time, why did you understand? If you know you work at you just talk one time, we understand yourself. But some people will not have that time to discuss. Okay. Especially men and women who don't dialogue to tell someone your problem. And then you expect that he get for no. He get for no say, and that is why so many are suffering today, and then their moods have gone away, their emotions have gone away, because you're assuming that people should know it. It be small picking. Yes. Okay, Asanji, Mrs. Asanji, Yvette, let us get what you have to say in connection to this second topic once again.
Mr. Leo, what makes couples connect is just to identify the same things that make them to disconnect. If they get to identify those things, they can easily reconnect by working on those things. For example, if it's unfaithfulness that disconnected the couples emotionally, the only thing that can rekindle and bring back those emotions is faithfulness, building back trust. Another way to reconnect and rekindle emotions is doing bits of positive things. Know what your spouse likes. Know what your spouse wants. What makes marriages work are not great big things. They are little things. And that takes me to the love languages. If you want to reconnect and rekindle your emotions with your spouse, check your spouse's love language. We have 5 basic love language. We have acts of service, we have physical touch, we have gifts, we have quality time, we have words of affirmation. So which of them is your spouse's love language? If you know your spouse's love language and you speak their love language to them, I give you an example. A woman, most women I know their love acts of service. A lot of women, the woman that the husband is there assisting her, you see how good she feels. You know, the husband is speaking her love language. So if the husband has been away, never have time and doesn't have time for the family or have time for her, the emotions have cooled down and they want to rekindle it, the husband can come, spend quality time with her, assist her in house chores. You know, you can do those things that is your interest. Let's not do those things that's like, no. I give you an example. A man that likes to wash dresses, like my husband, he can wash dresses, but he cannot rinse them. In fact, he does not like to rinse and dry. So if it comes to acts of service, he knows that, yes, that's my love language. When he helps me wash dresses, I rinse them and I dry them. So he is speaking my love language, and that day I'm feeling really good. Sometimes one that says, of the working today, it still makes me. So if you know your spouse's love language and you speak it, you can reconnect to them easily. If it's physical touch, when you touch him, when you touch her, sometimes it's just a massage on the neck, everything, love language. Discover your spouse's love language and you can reconnect with them easily.
Love language, that's a new one. I'm also learning it. Yes, Madam Fortinglet. Seemingly, we invest very little in the work, because when we talked earlier on about the wedding and marriage, you said lots and lots of work needs to be done to ensure that the marriage works. We are not doing the work. That is why we go to sleep after the wedding. We brandish the certificate that, after all, like Apostle Singer said, I have a guarantee. He cannot kick me out. So whatever I want to do, I can do. This, or I'm married, so I care very little. Lots and lots of work. And she's talking about love language that needs to take center stage here.
Yeah, it has to play. Yes, that's very important. To understand the love language of your spouse, it's one thing to understand it and keep it. And make sure you make use of it. Apostle AMBE just mentioned something here. He talked about spiritual aspect. He said he believes that there are spiritual couples away from each other. That's why, as a couple, prayers is not an option. It's an obligation. If your marriage must work and you succeed, prayers is not supposed to be an option. And it's something you have to carry on like on a daily basis. And it's only then that you ensure that if there are any curses, there are any demonic forces you're fighting with, you can be able to handle them in the prayers. Holding the hands of you, praying together. You pray your vision. You pray all your plans together. The Bible says a family that prays together lives together. So if you can only practice that attitude of praying together, then it's definitely going to help a lot in your marriage. Secondly, there's something about, I want to say something about activity. We have to be in marriage. You have to sustain. You must sustain. Like I said from the beginning, I said, when people are planning to get married, they go for the wants and not the needs. The want is what ties you, but the need is what sustains you. When you get married, one of those things that you need from your partner is to be creative. Your partner has to, men generally, they like like varieties. A man does not want to see the same thing every day. And that is, he prepares conchaff. Tomorrow he wants to see fufu and eru. So when you start doing one and it's boring, like every day I eat fufu and eru, what's happening? What's wrong with you? You know, men love variety. So everybody, whether you're a man, you are the wife, you have to learn to be creative. Be creative in whatever you're doing that benefits your spouse. If you have to be creative. And secondly, you have to get in varieties. Like you tell us about the shape. He said it is very possible to walk down your shape that you have children. Apostle, we say the skin, the body is not the same. There are women that are naturally with a fat skin, the hormones are with a fat skin, others are with a tiny skin. I have 3 kids, and the way I look, there are people without a kid that are even fatter than me, and there are others with 5 kids that are thin I am. So the skin is never the same. In as much as we can do some work to maintain acceptable level, but you should not expect too much, because one of the things is we expect too much from our spouses. We expect a lot. You want your spouse to do magic. Yes, the skin is coming because I gave birth and I'm trying. You're not supporting me, but you're expecting me to be as thin as I used to be from the onset. That's not it. You have to accept, and you have to help me in the process. I remember late my Moro, he said, if you're not comfortable with the shape of your wife, you dress her up with sportswear, you take her out, come for her, like on a regular basis. Creativity, even in the area of sex, Apostles talked about it. You know, women have to learn. I know most of the persons that are always, most often than not, even though everybody can be involved, the man as well as the woman, most of those who are always they don't like to express their feelings when it comes into the area of sex are women. But women, you have to be creative. A man as well, you have to be creative. I've also talked of the missionary people. You can't be a missionary person all the days of your life. Today, tomorrow, and forever. You have to be creative in that area. If you must meet the emotions of your partner.
You, an apostle, are speaking a language I don't understand. I don't know whether it's the missionary John the Baptist or Pope John Paul II. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Pastor Jonas from Loom. I buy the idea of Apostle the Singer. When people wed for right and genuine reasons, their marriage will be successful. All depends on the motives for the beginning. Wrong motive during wedding will lead to unsuccessful marriage and vice versa. Good evening in the studio. Thanks for reminding us that women are helpmates, but please lay more emphasis on it, because some viewers out there might think the opinion of a woman doesn't matter and her place remains in doing only the house chores. Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. A successful wedding is not a guarantee to a successful marriage. Marriage needs a lot of efforts from both parties. Jeff is writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. KUM and your panelists. God is the author of both wedding and marriage. It depends on the definition of your success. God has set principles for both the act of wedding and the process of marriage. A successful wedding is fundamental to a successful marriage. Moses writing there. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Eliasu, writing from Bamenda. I really enjoyed the program, Mr. Leo. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. If we go through our Bible, the pastor have said it. Covenant matters a lot. God made a covenant with Abraham and he fulfilled it. As for me, covenant has an effect if we do not obey it. But the Bible says, let your yes remain yes and let your no remain no. From Marlene, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please ask Apostle AMBE if kissing is actually a covenant. I'm Eve, writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Leo. A successful wedding is not a guarantee for a successful marriage, because some have become a boxing and fighting ground with all what they spent. A special good evening to Apostle AMBE. Please, I would also like to send me Mr. Apostle ALFRED number. Thanks. It's Mike writing from Libe. If you need the numbers of the panelists, please get to me after the program. Indicate. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Consul Solil. Please, how long can one be in a courtship? Oops, I'm sure we discussed this already. We discussed this now, Alfred. Yes, I'm sure we discussed that already. A man is not to be changed. She cannot change a man. Play your role as a woman and you will never regret living. If a man does not respect or appreciate you, keep doing your own part. God will guide you. Pastor AMBE is correct. Love should be defined within couples, defined as submission to women. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and your wonderful panelists. Today, there is a lot of competition in marriage from both sides than in the days of the old, causing lots of pressure and rampant collapse. Alpha is writing from Doha. Esther from Amanda says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I wish to ask Apostle AMBE if it's right for the husband to always run to his mother and sisters before responding or contributing to his wife. I'm suffering in my marriage because my in-laws has the final say.
Let me answer you very fast.
The man has never spent a pin or any member of my family, yet I take care of her parents. When he has money, all that matters to him is his family, but when he is broke, I become useful to him. Where can I do? Esther from Promenda.
Sister Esther, you are married to a boy, not a man. Men leave their father's house. A man that keeps running back to the father's house is a boy. Marriage is for men, not for boys. So start thinking if you have to groom that man to a man because you are living with a boy in the house. If he's there, greet him for me and tell him to grow up.
Tell him Happy Children's Day.
Good evening to all in the studio. I'm Adjunct Theophile from Boya. Mr. Liu, I like words of the lady beside you. I would like to get her number. She's married, eh? Both wedding and marriage are important because wedding is a preliminary to marriage, but many couples fail to understand that marriage is like the parable of the wise and of foolish in the Bible. So I've said if you need their numbers, get to me after the program because now I'm reading and it will be difficult for me to go back. Please, good evening. Please, should you borrow to have a big wedding? I'll say no. Wow, Uncle Leo, good evening. I love the program. It's very interesting. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I want to differ with the lone lady on the panel on the issue of the lady that is not being appreciated by the husband. I learned counselors don't advise couples to leave their marriage if you don't know the cause of the problem. They are not married, please.
They are not married.
She's asking whether she should get married. They are not married. Good evening, panel. Apostle AMBE holds a PhD in marriage counseling. Paddison is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, everyone. The secret to a successful marriage is all about finding that particular woman that aligns with your vision, goals, purpose, and most importantly, way of life. Agbotambe Ferino, writing from Douala. Good evening, sir. Please, can I have the contact of the man who just explained how a woman can be submissive and how a man should love? That's Apostle AMBE. Livingston is writing from Unfortunately, we have to end here. No, the messages are just so many. Apostle AMBE, we have to end here. Unfortunately, we want to say thank you for coming, and maybe you have one last word for our televiewers.
Wedding is good, but it cannot decide the fate of your marriage. Nobody was against wedding here. Most of us wedded. We are not against wedding, but wedding cannot be the determinant factor for a successful marriage. So I advise you to build marriage as an assignment and see wedding as an event. And know that people swear oath and break the oath even in occultic kingdoms. Not the one that elders will declare in the village on your head. That will make you obey.
Okay, Janice writing from Douala says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I think we need to look well before getting married, especially the women. God said you should submit to your husband, and not every man, but you are man, and God gave you the choice. You have to choose who you want to submit to. So if a woman can choose a good leader and let them lead you, love will be present. Okay, Janice, good evening to you and thank you. Mr. Liu, Mildred from Fumban says, apart from the fact that he doesn't appreciate me, there are many other things I just cannot text. Okay, Mildred, writing from Fumban, can you just call us after the program? You can get, I'll put you in contact with a marriage counselor. They will talk to you. Hello, it's Sister Juliet from Douala. Please, is it possible for a couple to live for 22 years and separate, and the wife travel without the consent of the husband? No communication for 4 years. Can the marriage work again? Okay, good evening, Mr. Leonard and the panel. What makes marriage work emotionally is good communication. Marriage is to be enjoyed through fun and humor. Love language too is very important. A caller from the United States. Apostle Alfred, one last word to our televiewers this evening.
Yeah, every young man must know that they must prepare for that period of wedding. Even if you don't want to do the church one, you can do your traditional and the court. Then maybe if you're a Christian, you go to your church for blessing. So prepare for that. Don't tell us that you don't have money, you want to spend the money but in marriage. Start spending it in the wedding. You will spend it that time. So I want to encourage you, please always follow this program so that you can benefit from it. There are some things that these things we are saying is worth of knowledge. Some of them we studied, read them from books, we read them from schools, we pay school fees to learn some of these things, and some of them is experience that you cannot pay for. So take this opportunity and learn them time by time.
Okay.
God bless you.
Hello, Mr. Leo. I, for one, I believe in our traditional marriage. For court marriage, women are going in there for wealth, not for true love. I'm writing from Edea. Good evening to you. Good evening to all. There is one important aspect that may make marriage fail. It is influence from family and friends. Good evening, Mr. Leo. If you get married to a man for 9 years and the man just decides to get married to women, what can you do? Herudai writing from Gaundiri. Hi, Herudai, can you just Apostle, can you head Herudai? You are married to a man for some time and later on he decides to get married to 2 other women.
Sister Herudai, is that what you signed? If that is what you guys accepted initially, well and fine.
Polygamy.
If the man took you unaware, in the name of the Lord Most High, pack your things if you're not comfortable and leave that house.
Okay. Good evening, sir. I wish to ask, can we do all these things, these romantic touches, while still trying to build up the relationship before marriage? No. Stella, writing from Douala. No, Stella. That's not what we are talking. They're talking for people who are married. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Great work by you guys in the studio there. Your panelists have said everything without mentioning of the couple that eat too much. There are some men who count the pieces of meat in the wife's pot, and there are some women who prepare food, but by the time they are done, everything is finished. What can we say about that? William is writing from Bamenda. Wow, William, that is good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the guest speakers in the studio. I just want to appreciate what you guys are doing to our society through programs like this. I strongly believe that until a couple align and submit to their own parts of the covenant, they can't succeed. God bless you all. Pastor Elvis KUM, writing from Limbe. Pastor, that's my junior brother who is a pastor with Winners Chapel International, Limbe. Good evening to you and madam. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Please, for Apostle AMBE's number. Now, one last word to our televiewers.
Okay. What I would like to advise our televiewers, a good wedding is good, but a good marriage is better. So rather than spend your time preparing for a flamboyant wedding, go for premarital counseling. Seek for counseling and prepare yourself enough, equip yourself enough for marriage, because there is more to marriage than wedding. Secondly, do everything possible to meet up with your spouse's emotional needs. Be creative in your marriage. Bring in more styles, bring in varieties to make your marriage work. Be creative,
okay,
and you will enjoy your marriage.
Be creative, you are going to enjoy your marriage. We want to say thank you to you, Mrs. Asanji. Yvette, who took part in the program from Bomen, the Northwest Regional Capital. We want to say thank you to you, Apostle ALFRED, and to you, Apostle AMBE Valentine, and to you, Madame Henrietta. We want to say thank you to you, Eli, and Desmond, and Bertrand, Noel, everybody working at the broadcasting. Not forgetting you, Tabi, Tambe Bryant, supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.